My name is Edward Mauser, and we'll be talking about delivering value with emerging technologies. But since I'm American, and thank you for listening in English, I like to start all of my speeches by talking about me. Now, actually, there's a little bit about myself. I've been in the business for a long time, and I've got a lot of roles that I've played. A few of those I've listed here. If we're going to be labeling who I am, I'm a visionary. I talk about a lot with technology. In fact, I think that I actually have the best job in the world. I get to come up here and talk about things that I love to do, things that I love to work with, and talk about people that are like-minded and like to do these things. It's fantastic. And so I'm a self-proclaimed emerging technology geek, which is why I'm going to be talking to you today. But I'm also involved in a lot of other things, business cases, emerging business models, and things like that that all play into this. I'm not going to go into that today, but just so you have an idea of that. And the reason I'm good at this, or one of them, is that I've spent my whole life or career working with emerging technologies. I was on the product team that launched text messaging in the United States. I was on the product team that launched the first smartphone in the United States. I ran the product teams that developed text messaging, product development, and wireless web product development for devices. I was a stakeholder that pushed for HTML being a standard on the devices that we use today. And so I've been involved in this throughout my career. And I was thinking about this last night as I was flying here. And I've actually implemented big data, customer 360, omni-channel, responsive design solutions before those terms had even been coined. And I did that not because they were topics that were being discussed or anything like that. It was because we knew that it would add value to the customer experience and what those provided. So I'm going to talk about some of these things with you today and what we can learn from them. But I want to talk about this or set the stage and set the backdrop, because why are we talking about needing to do something or something that is 1 to 5 years in the future out from maybe what you're thinking about now? And the reason that is digital disruption. I'm sure that all of you have heard about digital disruption, but I'm going to bring you, I'm going to bring some light to 3 studies that have been done on digital disruption. The first study I want to talk about is a study that was done by Gartner in 2015. And they went out and interviewed retailers around the globe. And they wanted to understand what they were doing to ride the wave of digital disruption. How were they going to address how they were being impacted in the world? And what they found is that 10 out of the top 10 multi-channel international retailers in the world were investing in innovation. That they were creating innovation teams and labs internally that their employees contributed to, and hiring external consultants to help them with ideation externally, because they understand that they can't move forward with the same problems that got them to where they were. That they needed new insight and understanding to move their products, their services, and their customer experience forward. Now, the second study that I want to talk about is a study that was done by Cisco. It's a fantastic study. It's one of the most detailed studies on digital disruption out there. It's called the Digital Vortex. And they interviewed 941 business leaders in 13 countries across 12 industries. And they asked them a number of different things. But one of the key questions they asked is, how do you think digital disruption is going to impact your company by 2020? And almost 4 in 10 believe that their company will be displaced in the next 4 years. That's significant. What's even more significant is the companies that you see out there that are doing the disruption is a fraction of the companies in any given market. And that means the other 60% of those companies are going to be impacted significantly. Now, the third study that I want to talk about is a study that was done by Oxford University. A couple of PhDs there decided to pick on the United States a little bit. And what they wanted to do is understand how all of the technologies that are causing this disruption are going to impact the job market. So they took the top 704 job titles in the United States and broke them into 9 attributes. So think about manual dexterity, cognitive thinking, arts and craft, cognitive science, all of these different things. And then they took the technologies that are being disruptive today. You think about robotics or Industry 4.0, artificial intelligence, Moore's Law, and the like. And they mapped that over time. So if you think about the advent of artificial intelligence years ago. They started to map, okay, how has it progressed against those attributes? And then they forecasted what that would look like and then compared that data against the same attributes that they did with the 704 job titles. And what they found is that in the next 20 years, that 47% of the jobs in the US market are at risk of being displaced. Now, I'm a new parent. I just had a son, he's 9 months old, and I will tell you that this study is quite revealing in what I want to do to help shape his future. It's a very interesting study. But digital disruption has been around for a while, and in fact, disruption in itself has been around in all of history. Think of fire, think of the wheel, and things like that. But let's get our heads around this and draw some real examples that we can work with. Does anyone know what a slide rule is? Miko? Slide rule looks like two rulers on top of each other with little wheels, and you use it for calculations. We put people on the moon with it. Sorry, language barrier. And the calculator displaced that product completely. When's the last time that anyone used a phone book, a real phone book? And if you use it to start a fire or hold a door open, that doesn't count. It's being outlawed in municipalities because of the waste that it causes. It also disrupted telecom. That was a significant revenue source for them, advertising. Email, that's disrupting governments. The US Postal Service has not seen a surplus in its budget since 2001 solely because of email. Postal services around the world are having to reinvent themselves to identify new value to get that back. Amazon. Well, I could talk all day about Amazon, and Miki even brought up an example here. But think about the disruption that this has done to e-commerce since it's been there. I haven't researched this or validated this, but I have to believe that Amazon has probably put more businesses out of business than any other business out there today. Think about what it's done to the e-commerce since the advent of the internet. Yeah, I mean, go around. Do you guys even know everything that it does? So it started with cool things like recommendations, right? Fantastic recommendation engine. Then it did bundles. I hate bundles. I spend so much damn money. You go out there to buy one thing and you buy three, right? And then one-click purchasing. They make it easy. That's really where they started to become a juggernaut. And then they brought one-click purchasing to the digital world. Anyone here have an Amazon Dash? It's a little physical button, Wi-Fi, hooks up to your Amazon account. You stick it wherever you want, depending on the product. Let's say it's toothpaste. You put it in your bathroom. I'm out of toothpaste. You hit the button. In 48 hours, it will be delivered to your door. You don't have to go online. You do nothing. You need toothpaste. Boom. It's that fast. It's all about making purchasing easier. To make it even easier, they launched the Amazon Echo. Anybody know about Alexa? It's a voice-activated system that you can put in your home. It also controls smart home, things like that. But they did it because of purchasing. It's too hard for me to go over and press that button. It's too hard for me to log online. Alexa, order me toothpaste. It's at my door in 2 days. That easy. They really continue to disrupt. Amazon Go, we just saw that. You don't even have to go to the cashier. You just walk in, you take the stuff, and you walk out. Fantastic. I just read an article on the way here yesterday. They're investing $1.5 billion US dollars. They're creating their own air fleet to deliver the goods because it's cheaper for them to do that than to continue to use FedEx, UPS, and the other carriers that are doing that for them today. They are just continuing to move that. Then you tie in the drones that they're delivering, with that, and then we haven't even talked about Amazon Web Services. Their most profitable business unit isn't about selling products and goods in e-commerce. It's about using computer space and allowing other people to use the same platform that made them successful. Great company. Skype, moving forward, again, disrupting telecommunications, proved that not only is video over IP reliable, it is cheap. And the most disruptive thing that we probably have had in our lifetime is what every one of us has in our pocket today, the smartphone. And if you think about all the predecessors that go with that and what that's disrupted, you can start with payphones, landlines, GPS devices, flashlights, watches. Think of all the things that it's disrupted in what you do and you don't need anymore. And to go full circle, it even disrupts the calculator. When is the last time you used a physical calculator? Chances are at least 75% of the people in here use their phone. Let's talk about some real business models and what's happening around us today. I have several examples up here that of companies that are doing disruption. And I try to mix this up with a lot of companies that you may not know. I'm sure that everyone's heard of Airbnb, Tesla, Uber, and then mobile pay maybe, and then some of these other won't, that you may not know of. But I'm only going to touch on a couple of these. But if you have questions about any of these, please grab me later. Let's start with State Farm Insurance. State Farm is a insurance company, a large insurance company in the United States. And they understand that insurance is being disrupted. So what they've done is they've started up an entire company under their group called 845 Innovation. And what it does is it goes out and partners with other companies and even invests in them at times to create new products to advance their customer experience within State Farm Insurance. It's a fantastic idea. Actually, they're copying Fidor, a German bank, the most innovative bank in the world. They're creating an ecosystem through third parties to provide value to their customers. Fantastic example of innovation. Walgreens. Anyone been to the United States, ever visited a Walgreens? Walgreens is half pharmacy or apothec, half kiosk, but a really big kiosk or a really small grocer. So you kind of go there for one-stop shopping if you need to get a prescription, some apples and toothpaste, as an example. And they've actually been somewhat innovative in their career, but in the past, I would say, life of 15 years, they kind of been in a slump. And so they've really started to reinvent themselves. Now, the good thing about Walgreens is that their bread and butter is their pharmaceutical business, that they have people that come in, especially the elderly, that are always requiring to get pills once a week, once a month, whatever it is. Well, because they're already serving for the healthcare business, for all of these prescriptions and things, what they did is they actually started their own healthcare services company within the Walgreens brand. They are turning customers into patients. And it's a really revolutionary model in what they're doing. So now they're not just providing the healthcare services that they can get through a pharmaceutical outlet, they're providing full healthcare services for their patients, and especially those with diseases that are going to be with their patients their whole life, such as diabetes. It's a really fantastic business model in what they're doing there. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is Amelia. Does anyone recognize Amelia? Anybody hear of that buzzword, chatbots, things like that? How about IPsoft? You know who IPsoft is? It's a company that owns Amelia. And what they do is they provide a service that allows you to provide chat service to complement your customer care. So to offload the calls that are coming into your customer care center, you can offer chat online. And Amelia is a cognitive bot that does it automatically for you. They have one of the most advanced artificial intelligence engines in the world. You don't hear about it because you hear about Google Alpha, you hear about IBM Watson and those things. But I tell you what, you stack IPsoft up against Watson and Google, and they're making the most money off of artificial intelligence by far. Interesting company if you want to look at that. Anyways, let's move on. The common thread here is customer experience. All of these companies, all of the things that are going on there, the reason that they're successful is because it's providing value to us through customer experience. And they understand that. And they understand that we live in a phygital world. It's not a typo, right? It's physical and digital. It's the idea that they understand that the better that they understand us, the better that they can serve us, right? So if we have to define emerging technologies, bring this background to what we're talking about, it's an enabler. It's an enabler for you. It's an enabler for you to capture your customer journey. It's an enabler for you to deliver that new customer value. It's an enabler for you to change your business models and to evolve your customer experience. That's what emerging technologies is for you. That's where the value is. And it's about getting that data. Because once you get that data, you can do things like improve your customer loyalty, increase your revenues, reduce your costs, and use data scientists to create cool algorithms that look like this, to add value, to create knowledge, to give you the power to create innovative KPIs. All of us are running our businesses now on the metrics that we have that go up to the board, the CEO, and all of that. And yes, we're doing good in this. start creating the KPIs, start understanding the happiness of your customers, how they're doing, and things like that. That is going to get you the value your customers expect. Focus on their needs. Deliver their customer experience they want. Deliver the value. Emerging technologies lets you do that by filling the gaps. All of you have different gaps out there in your needs, right? Whether it's a technology gap because you don't have the right data, maybe you have the right data, you're not using it correctly, maybe you need third-party data and need to do that. I talk to lots of people out there, yeah, we have big data, we've got all of this data and all of that, but are you using it? Are you putting advanced analytics on it? Are you exploring your options of public data, social media, third-party data that's out there? Are you looking at different technologies that can fill the gaps in what you have today and all of that? Emerging technologies lets you do that, and you have the knowledge. You already have the questions or the needs, and it's just a matter of filling those and finding the right technology to do that. And I'm going to talk to you about or touch on 3 technologies today. We're not going to go into these in depth or any of that to help you understand, and that's going to be video analytics, augmented reality, and robotic process automation. The reason I like video analytics is because it captures everything about the world. And I think it is a fantastic technology. But for you, it allows you to provide personalized experiences because you can understand what your customers are doing and why they're doing what they're doing. A couple of value phenomena that it can do for you is sense your out-of-home media and understand what your customers think of your brands, what they think of you, how they work in the real world, and what they're looking at. In your retail location, like we did with Power, what are your customers doing in the customer journey within the location? Basically, it helps you get to answer the questions that you want to know about your customers: who, what, when, and where. Does that make sense? So let's dive into this. What's a practical example of how we use this? This is data that was taken from the Power example, actually. So let's talk about a couple of use cases here. Let's say that you are a woman between the ages of 18 and 29, and you visited the Power store on a Wednesday between 3 and 7 in the afternoon. We were able to influence your purchasing behaviors by 120% with the data that we captured here. Let's say that you were a man, and you went into the store, and we knew that 72% of the men between 30 and 53 visited the back of the store. Using that data, we were able to influence purchasing behaviors by 95%. Now, sometimes I get asked, hey, Ed, isn't that kind of creepy that you know so much about the customers and all that with video analytics? And no. Here's the truth, is that we're not forcing someone to do anything. We're providing, actually, we're reminding your customers of a want or need they already have and allow them to act on it at the moment that allows them to capture and fulfill that need. Does that make sense? And it is a fantastic way to do it through targeted content. But it doesn't just have to be about that. Here's an example that's outside of those, because video analytics, I think, actually fills use cases across all industries. But here's something we did with Vianor. They wanted to reach out and touch their customers outside of just their service points. So we helped them prove a new business case that they were working on, and they liked it so much that their parent company, Nokian Tires, actually branded it SnapScan. Did anyone see SnapScan? Have you visited that location? And it was a really cool project to be in because it involved lasers and video.